I was 18 the first time I realized my parents didn't actually see me. Not really, it was Jenna's birthday. She got a brand new Lexus wrapped in a silver bow, with the whole family standing in the driveway clapping like we were in some damn commercial. I handed her a card with a Starbucks gift card inside, all I could afford after working double shifts at Pizza Hut. Dad gave me a pat on the back like I was the valet. My name's Ryan. I'm 33 now, but I grew up in Macon, Georgia, in a family that looked perfect from the outside. Custom-built home, gated driveway, 3 Range Rovers in the garage, and our last name. It's on half the golf resorts in the southeast. We were the Suttons. People around town treated us like royalty. Well, them anyway. Jenna was younger than me by 3 years. Blonde, bubbly, full of big dreams and zero consequences. She got private tennis lessons, monthly spa trips, an all-expenses-paid ride through college. I got a used Corolla and a reminder to pay off my loans on time. Your sister just needs more support right now, Mom would say, even when I had 2 jobs and a 3.9 GPA. It wasn't like I was some loser. I worked my ass off. I delivered pizzas till 2 in the morning, studied in the parking lot between shifts, and still graduated top of my class in accounting. Didn't matter. Jenna messed up one marketing midterm and got a personal tutor flown in from Atlanta. I landed a full-time job, and no one even asked where. The only person who ever looked at me like I mattered was my granddad, Thomas Sutton, the man who built our whole empire from a patch of red dirt and a rusted bulldozer. He didn't play favorites. He didn't hand out trophies, but he showed up. Every game, every report card, every birthday. When I graduated, he handed me a folded piece of paper, a legal document splitting his $6 million trust fund down the middle. Me and Jenna, equal, locked in. I built this family, he said. Not just the company, the family, and I built it fair quick note. Before we go on, share which city or country you're watching from. I remember holding that paper like it was gold, because finally, someone said I was worth the same as her. That was the only time in my life I felt like I wasn't invisible. But looking back now, I should have known better. Because fairness, in our family, that was just another thing they pretended to believe in. I had one foot in my suitcase, shoving in a stack of pressed shirts, when my phone buzzed. Mom's name lit up the screen. I almost let it go to voicemail. We weren't exactly chatty, but something told me to answer. She was crying, hard. Ryan, your grandfather, he fell. He's in bad shape. You need to come home. My heart dropped. How bad? It's serious. Your sister's already here. Please, just come. I canceled my flight to Dallas on the spot. That meeting had taken me 3 months to line up. A shot to pitch a multi-million-dollar financial revamp to a golf chain looking to expand. But none of that mattered if Granddad was hurt. I threw the rest of my stuff in the truck and drove straight to Forsyth. Didn't stop for gas, didn't stop for food. Just white-knuckled the wheel, mind racing the whole 2-hour drive. But when I walked through his front door, what I saw stopped me cold. There he was, in his recliner, Wall Street Journal in one hand, black coffee in the other, slippers on. He looked up and raised an eyebrow. "What the hell are you doing here?" "Mom called," I said. "She said you took a bad fall." He scoffed. "Fall? Hell no. Who told you that?" "Mom." She sounded hysterical. He set his coffee down slow and leaned forward, looking me dead in the eye. "Your mama's been many things in her life, but subtle?" Ain't one of them I pulled out my phone and opened my calendar. The entire week was blocked off for my trip. I'd worked for months to land that Dallas meeting, pulled favors, crunched numbers, polished the pitch to perfection. Gone, wasted. "Why?" I muttered. "Why even bother lying about it? Why not just tell me I wasn't invited?" He didn't answer right away, just stared at me for a long second, then, "Because they knew you'd ask questions. And they didn't want to explain why your name was never on the guest list." I clenched my fists. "They didn't even want me there." "Son, they don't want you where you can be seen," he said. "But they damn sure want what belongs to you." I hadn't even opened the binder yet when my phone buzzed. It was a notification from Instagram. Jenna Sutton Life just posted a story. I tapped it. There they were. My parents, Jenna, Aunt Kathy, Uncle Will, 2 cousins, even their damn golden doodle, all smiling on some balcony in Cabo. Sun hats, frozen drinks, ocean in the background. Matching shirts that said, "Sutton Strong," Not one mention of me, not even a joke about missing someone. They looked like a damn ad for a luxury cruise. I stared at the screen, my thumb frozen, my jaw locking up like a vice. Granddad leaned forward and looked over my shoulder. Didn't say anything right away. "They never planned to take you," he finally said. "Jenna asked me to lie to you." I refused. I couldn't stop staring at the photo. My own blood smiling like I didn't exist. "Bastards," I muttered. "I told your mama this had come back to bite her," Granddad said, standing up. "Come with me." He walked into his study, pulled a key from under a trophy on the shelf, and unlocked the small safe behind a stack of dusty files. Inside was a single manila folder. He handed it to me without a word. I opened it and felt the ground shift. Wire transfers, bank statements, handwritten notes with Jenna's name in bold across invoices. Tuition, yoga, studio. I flipped through the pages. "They bought her a house?" "With your share," he said. "Almost $3 million gone, all of it tied to your trust." I looked up at him. "I thought you locked it in." "I did. Legally, but I gave your dad power of attorney a while back. Thought he'd respect it. I kept records just in case I dropped the folder on the desk and backed up like it was on fire. They stole from me." He didn't argue, didn't soften it. I rubbed my temples, heart pounding, my whole body hot with rage. "I worked every damn night through college. I drove a car that wouldn't go over 65. I skipped meals to pay rent." Granddad just nodded once. "While she flew first class to yoga retreats." My phone buzzed again. Another story. Jenna clinking glasses with my mom, the caption reading, "Grateful for those who always lift me up." I almost threw my phone through the wall. I turned back to Granddad. "How did they even get access?" "There's supposed to be oversight, right?" "They buried it, moved things around. Your name was on it, but the money went wherever they wanted. Jenna never questioned it. Your dad just signed it off like it was nothing. And Mom, she knew. Don't kid yourself. She plays dumb, but she's in deep." I leaned over the desk, staring at the file like it might rewrite itself. "This isn't a mistake. This is planned." Granddad walked over and put a hand on my shoulder. "You're not crazy, Ryan. They made you feel small for a reason. Easier to steal from someone when they don't know what they're worth." My hands shook as I picked the file back up. "Well," I said, voice sharp, "they're about to find out exactly what I'm worth." I was still holding that damn file when Granddad hit me with the next shot. "They're about to sign over the entire resort business to Jenna," he said, voice flat. I blinked. "What?" "They've been setting it up for months," he said. "Your sister's supposed to be the new face of Sutton Properties. That's the line your mother keeps using. They even had the nerve to draft the transfer paperwork right under my nose." I slammed the folder shut. "So they rob me blind, leave me out of the family, and then hand her the empire like she earned it?" He gave a slow nod. "Your dad's been sliding things over piece by piece. Accounts, vendor contracts, even the main operating license. Said it was temporary, said it was safer this way." "You let him?" I snapped. "I gave him power of attorney 10 years ago," he said, jaw clenched. "Back when I thought he still had a soul." I stepped back, heat crawling up my neck. "Jesus, Granddad. You built this place. You made this whole damn family. And now he's just, what, selling it off to his favorite kid?" "I underestimated how deep his greed went," he said, "but I didn't burn all my bridges." That's when I remembered Aunt Lynette. She was Granddad's oldest daughter, older than Dad by 8 years, and the only one who ever stood up to him. She'd walked away from the family business a decade ago when she caught Dad skimming off a construction project in Naples. Everyone said she was overreacting. I knew better. I pulled out my phone and dialed her number. She picked up on the first ring. "Ryan," she said, voice sharp. "Are you still in Georgia?" "Yeah, why?" "Because I've got proof." Of everything. She showed up 3 hours later, walking through Granddad's front door like she still owned the place. Tailored pantsuit, hair pulled back, eyes like steel. She hugged Granddad, looked me over, then got straight to business. "Show me." I handed her the file. She didn't say a word for 5 minutes, just flipped page after page, mouth set in a hard line. When she hit the offshore account summary, she froze. "Well, shit," she muttered. "What is it?" "They're moving money to the Caymans, in Jenna's name, but tied to Sutton Enterprises. This isn't just theft. This is a setup to disappear. You think they're planning to run? I asked. She snapped the folder shut. They've been laying the groundwork for years. Once the resort deal clears, they're gone. You'll never see a dime. Granddad looked up. So what's the move? We go public, she said, without blinking. Your family lives off reputation. We torch that. They lose everything I looked between them. You're saying we nuke them in front of everyone? They did it to you first, she said. Lied, stole, erased you from your own family. You want justice? Or do you want to keep being the polite son they pretend doesn't exist? I want them to choke on what they did. Then get ready, she said, because once we start, there's no walking it back. I barely slept that night, just sat at the kitchen table in Granddad's house, staring at the Facebook post draft on my screen, rewriting it over and over until I stopped shaking. By sunrise, I stopped overthinking. I copied it to LinkedIn, hit post on both, and let it rip. Funny how my family lied about my grandfather's health to keep me from a vacation I was never invited to. Then drained $3 million from my trust to give my sister a business she couldn't run. No hashtags, no dramatic emojis, just facts. Within 10 minutes, the comment section lit up. By the hour mark, I had 4 cousins messaging me in disbelief. 2 of them apologized. One flat out asked if I was drunk. I wasn't. I'd never been more clear. By noon, my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. One of Granddad's old business partners, a guy who helped fund the original 3 resorts, reached out asking for documents. Local media sent a direct message asking for a quote. Even a guy from our church growing up replied, I knew something shady was going on. Then Jenna called. You're humiliating us, she snapped the second I answered. No, I said. I'm correcting the record. You humiliated me for 30 years. I didn't steal anything. You cashed every check, didn't ask where it came from, and smiled in every picture. Don't play innocent. She went quiet. You think I didn't notice when you got a BMW and I got silence? You think I forgot delivering pizzas in the rain while you posted spa selfies from Aspen? You don't have to blow everything up, she whispered. I do, I said, and hung up. I stood in Granddad's driveway and took a deep breath, phone still hot in my hand. That's when Mom called. I didn't want to answer, but I did. Her voice came in cold, controlled. You're tearing this family apart, Ryan. No, I said, pacing. I'm exposing what you tried to bury. People are asking questions. Your father's reputation? I don't give a damn about his reputation. You're making a mistake. I've lived in your mistake my whole life, I said, and I hung up on her, for the first time ever. Inside, Aunt Lynette was already working. She had pulled out her laptop, logged into some state filing system, and was flipping through trust codes like she'd never left the game. This isn't complicated, she said. Your father authorized a transfer of control under false pretenses. We get a judge to freeze that contract. We cut off the escape route. How fast can that happen? I already filed the injunction, she said, eyes locked on the screen. They'll have to show up. Court dates in 48 hours. And if they don't, they lose by default. Lynette hit send on the injunction, and I turned to Granddad. Is that enough? He didn't say anything. Just got up, walked to the hallway closet, pulled down a dusty lockbox, and set it on the kitchen table with a hard thud. There's one more piece, he said. Been saving this. Inside was a thick folder. He opened it carefully and slid one paper toward me. This is the original contract where I gave your father power of attorney. Look at the clause halfway down. I scanned the doc until I saw it. Control may be revoked if financial dishonesty is proven beyond reasonable doubt. My throat tightened. You wrote this in yourself? Drew it up with Lynette back when your dad was still acting right. Figured I needed an eject button just in case. Well, we've got proof, I said, flipping to the bank records and Cayman transfers. It's beyond doubt. He nodded. Then it's yours to use. The next morning, I put on a clean shirt, tucked the folder under my arm, and walked into Sutton Properties headquarters in Atlanta like I belonged there. Because now, I did. The office looked the same. Polished floors, framed resort photos, receptionists smiling like it was just another Tuesday. But inside, hell was breaking loose. I stepped off the elevator into the executive wing and immediately heard the whine of a shredder. Mom and Dad were in the corner conference room, sleeves rolled up, hands moving fast through stacks of papers. I didn't hesitate. I opened the door and walked right in. Dad looked up furious. "You don't belong here." "Actually," I said, holding up the contract, "I do. And I'm taking my seat at the table." He moved toward me, eyes narrowed. "You think that little tantrum online makes you important?" I stepped further into the room. "No, this does." I set the document on the glass table between us. "This clause says you're done. You used my trust, lied to Granddad, and now we've got the trail." Mom's face went pale. "Ryan, let's be civil about this. You lied about him falling," I cut in. "You lied to me my whole life. You don't get civil." The door flew open again. Jenna rushed in, full panic. "Can't we just talk?" she said, arms out like this was some intervention. I didn't even answer. Instead, I turned to the door. 2 federal investigators walked in behind me, there to serve notice and seize records before the court hearing. "This is a private office," Dad started, but they already had cuffs out. "Sir, you're under investigation for financial fraud, embezzlement, and trust misappropriation," one of them said. Mom gasped. "There's been a mistake." "No," I said. "There hasn't." They cuffed my parents right there in front of me. Jenna froze, completely still, not crying, not screaming, just staring as they walked out past her, both in bracelets, reputations shattered. I stood at the edge of that table, hands steady for the first time in years. The room was quiet except for the shredder, still humming on the side table. I walked over and unplugged it. The court hearing was set for 9 a.m. on a Thursday. I showed up in a borrowed suit, still reeling from everything, but Lynette walked in like she'd been prepping for this moment for a decade. "You ready?" she asked. I nodded, but she could tell I wasn't. "Doesn't matter," she said. "We are." Inside that courtroom, she lit them up. Fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, abuse of authority, wire transfers, false ledgers, personal expenses disguised as business write-offs, and the best part, Jenna's signature on multiple purchase orders tied directly to the stolen trust funds. The judge's eyes narrowed more with every page Lynette flipped through. Then came the kicker, a copy of the clause Granddad had written himself, highlighted and signed. The judge read it twice, looked over the documents again, and leaned forward. "This is not a misunderstanding," he said. "It's a coordinated financial deception. You could have heard a pin drop. He voided the resort transfer, effective immediately. Dad's legal control over the company, gone. Ownership is hereby restored to Ryan Sutton as the intended heir of the Sutton estate," the judge said. I didn't breathe for a full 10 seconds. Then it hit me. I just won everything they tried to erase me from. As for my parents, fraud, tax evasion, misuse of trust funds, the charges kept stacking. Their assets were frozen by the end of the day. And Jenna? The bank accounts dried up fast. No more business cards. No more Sutton-branded anything. She was just another unemployed 30-year-old with a yoga certification and no studio to stand in. She tried to reach out, once by phone, twice through email, and finally with a handwritten letter, all full of the same excuses. I didn't know. They never told me. I trusted them too. I tossed it in the trash without reading past the second line. "You don't get to cry after you help bury someone." Back at Granddad's, we sat at the kitchen table again. Same spot we'd started. He poured 2 cups of black coffee and slid another folder across the table. "This is what's left," he said. "Just under $1.2 million. I moved it into a new trust. Under your name alone," I exhaled hard. "That's not what matters." "No," he said, "but it helps." I looked down at the numbers, small compared to what was gone, but the resorts? They were worth 3 times that, maybe more. For the first time in my life, I wasn't fighting just to survive. I had leverage, I had control, I had a name they couldn't steal anymore. Now it was on me to fix what they broke. Taking over wasn't some movie moment. It was chaos. The books were a damn disaster. Invoices unpaid for months. Payroll misreported. Vendor contracts patched together with duct tape and lies. But I showed up. First one in, last one out. Day after day. I walked every hallway, shook every hand, and made sure the staff knew one thing right away. They weren't the problem. My parents were. Some of them didn't believe me at first. Can't blame them. They'd been lied to for years. But when the back pay hit their accounts, when the new uniforms showed up, and when I cut out the nonsense titles and started calling them by name, they started to look me in the eye again. We launched a program to give hourly workers a chance to earn equity, not some PR stunt. Real shares, real money. My dad would have laughed in my face if he saw it, but the team didn't laugh. They showed up earlier, stayed longer, started walking taller too. The energy changed. Instead of fear, there was ownership. Instead of resentment, pride. We weren't perfect. Hell, we weren't even steady yet. But we were finally honest. Granddad came by every week, just like he always had. Same flannel shirt, same gruff voice, same cup of black coffee in his hand. We'd sit on the balcony of the main resort, top floor, corner view, and just look out over the fairways. I walked that whole course myself back in '86, he'd say, every blade of grass. Every inch one evening, just as the sun was cutting through the pines, he looked over at me. "Told you," he said, voice rough but steady. "They never saw your value." I always did. I didn't say a word, just nodded. Because that moment said everything. They tried to steal my name, my future, my shot. But what they gave me instead? A reason to fight. And I fought like hell. Not for revenge, not for some power trip. I fought to build something they couldn't poison. So, if you're listening right now, if you're the one they always overlooked, the one left out, counted out, stepped over, hear me. You don't have to stay in the shadows.